Indycar on NBCSN as we welcome you back. We've just crossed over the halfway point of the MAV TV 500. It's round 11 of the 2015 Verizon IndyCar Series Championship, and Graham Rahal has just edged ahead. Will he be able to get around Helio Castroneves and actually lead a lap? Helio has looked incredibly strong for Team Penske, and again making that low line work.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Castroneves' car is really, really good on the low line. He's the only guy that's really been able to keep it down there all day. Everybody else has been quick on the high side, like Tony Kanaan, making the move now, trying to pull around the outside of Graham Rahal.
Rahal looks at the high side of Tony Kanaan. Sitting right behind these guys is Ryan Briscoe for Schmidt Peterson Motorsports in the Arrow car number 5, that gold car, and Briscoe has been in the mix all day, Kevin.
Rick Peterson is the co-owner as we continue to watch this battle up front. Rick, this kind of tells us why you chose Ryan to fill in for Hinch.
Yeah, he's doing an awesome job, isn't he?
So what kind of things is he saying? What's playing into the final stages, the second half of this race?
He's not saying much. Just the car's fine. Everything's good. So I don't think we have to make many adjustments. We could maybe use a quick short yellow, but that's about it. Other than that, we're good to the end.
That's a good sign when the driver's not saying a lot. Ryan Briscoe's car is hooked up right now.
Looking good behind Briscoe. Montoya, Dixon, Power, Pagenaud, Marco Andretti has found his way back into the top 10, and Ed Carpenter runs 10th.
Well, you can't really pick a winner out of this, because I feel that anybody within the top 11 cars from Sato forward has a shot at winning this race. Every one of these cars has led at some point in the top 12. Every car has led, so picking a winner out of this group is nearly impossible at this point.
I couldn't agree more, Paul. I mean, we've seen a lot of guys lead this race, been a lot of lead changes, but they've all been genuine lead changes, genuine running up front too. So not just a result of pit stops and fresh tires.
Penske has dominated qualifying. Penske has dominated this championship. There is Mr. Penske, Roger Penske, the captain. Cal?
The captain calls the shots for Helio Castroneves, but we have seen some action out there. What do you think of seeing these cars run 3, sometimes 4 wide here?
Well, I think it's great racing. It just shows you the quality of the drivers running this close together, lap after lap with no yellows. We're hoping for a little rest for these guys, but great racing with everybody out there. They're taking care of each other, and I'm glad to see one of our cars up front.
500-mile race. We're just over the halfway mark. How surprised are you by how aggressive they've been early on?
Well, this is a sprint race now. This is sprinting we are now. It's we got to go here.
All right, well, Roger Penske built this track, so you know he wants to come away with the win today.
Back in 1997, and the man who sits beside Steve Matchett and myself, Paul Tracy,
if you could get him,
was the very first driver to turn laps of this track for Mr. Penske.
Well, it was a tremendous honor. I remember when this place was built and we came out here, it was like a no man's land here. There was a big steel mill, and it was a contaminated ground, and Roger said, I'm going to build a track there. And we came out here and did our first laps, and onwards and upwards. Great venue, always given great racing. As we see these two signaling each other. Little signal from Kanaan, or from Castroneves there to Rahal. These guys, he wants to lead and just get in line with me here, and let's just keep this lead going as they're starting to stretch away a little bit from the rest of the pack.
Graham Rahal had us all scratching our heads yesterday when he qualified and did qualify well as he goes around Castroneves. Kanaan pounces as well. And Rahal said, yeah, you know what? That was okay. Whoa! Castroneves is gone! Helio spins! Perhaps it was inevitable. Racing this close, this fast, for this long.
He hit the wall on the inside and has damaged the rear bumper. He'll probably have a flat tire in the rear from spinning that long, but he got rounded up by Rahal and then had to check out of the throttle. Kanaan came around the inside, chopped across the front, and then Power was there. He just got swarmed by everybody, and it looked like he just touched Power, I think, and lost the car.
The guy who has led the most laps in this race, Helio Castroneves. And yeah, you saw some bodywork, one of those rear pods from the car of Ryan Briscoe. That whole rear right side.
So we'll have to change that when we come in.
Wow. 135 laps, 36 laps, caution-free, flat out, at an average speed of in excess of 200 miles per hour, has finally come to a halt.
And that wasn't the yellow that Roger was looking for, that's for sure, with his guy being out of the race now.
Tell him we're going to drive it in. We're going to drive it in, tell him.
Here it is. Let's watch. Briscoe on the low side, Power on the high side. Elio is in the middle, and there was just ran out of space. Boy, Montoya was lucky.
Yeah, Montoya
was so lucky.
We saw that wheel pod of Briscoe's car lead, didn't we? Went flying into the air, but fortunately, air didn't get underneath the car. You can see the two blanking plates on the back of the car where Cash Neves has those 3 decals on there. Designed for ovals. There it is again. Look, designed when the car goes into reverse to stop air flowing back underneath the car. Let's have another look, another angle of this.
Keep your eye on the gold car, Ryan Briscoe.
Ooh. Boy, oh boy, oh boy.
So 3 into 1. It was just one of those awkward situations. Did Briscoe come up a little early? Did Elio just run out of room? Did Power squeeze him down? It's all of that. You can see. Yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah, Elio just didn't really have anywhere to go, did he? You know, and just couldn't go to the left, couldn't go to the right. On board Montoya, this is going to show it.
3 cars all fighting for about 8 feet of room, and Montoya very, very lucky there to get by there.
Yeah. I wonder if Briscoe just started to lose traction down low and just started to drift up the track as you were describing earlier on, Paul, and that changed line and Elio had nowhere to go.
So remember, there's quite a bit more work needed on car number 5, the Arrow Honda, for Schmidt Peterson Motorsports and Ryan Briscoe involved in that accident. Ray Hall leads the entire field to pit road. Kev?
Ryan Briscoe has a spare rear wing, and they are going to change it. They were taking a look to see if they needed to do it, and they did have damage, so the entire rear wing assembly being changed for Ryan Briscoe, so he's going to lose precious track position.
Big race off the line. Power was the winner. Ray Hall second. Montoya third. Kanan and Carpenter going at it as well. But Power the big winner, gaining 2 positions. There goes Briscoe finally.
Hey, wow, for a rear wing change, that is phenomenal.
Well, it's a good thing this was under yellow and not under green, because if he'd had to do that under green, he would lose a lap or 2. But his car is strong enough that he'll be able to pull back through the field. He's been very, very strong. So not too much of a disappointment for him. If that would have been under green, it would have been a big problem.
And for Will Power, he made a stop in 7.03 seconds, and they also checked the rear suspension to be sure there was no damage because of the contact. So he picks up 2 positions. Amazing, that quick of a stop, and how many things they had to check.
And remember, Will Power's very first pit stop and how awkward that was. However, car number 1 doing a super job. Team Penske doing a super job. What a race these IndyCar fans have been treated to today here at Auto Club Speedway.
Last week on NASCAR America.
We've had a lot of activity out here at the bumper car track, and it's taught us a tremendous amount of things. First and foremost, high speeds. We had an intern reportedly hit 2.5 miles per hour.
The key is, though, that they're not going to sign Danica without having the sponsor to go with it. It's a package deal.
3 strikes are out at the old ball game.
On a scale of 1 to 10.
Was that Roseanne Barr? I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure. Ow. America doesn't always have talent.
And a quick reminder, you can see NASCAR America weekdays here on NBCSN. This week coming up huge with the lead up to the return of NASCAR racing on your home of motorsport, NBC Sports. We're here at Indy Fontana Auto Club Speedway in California, and we are under our one and only full course caution at the moment due to a collision between Ryan Briscoe and Helio Castro-Neves. Briscoe's car, the Schmidt-Peterson Motorsports Honda, is all fixed, but let's listen to some radio communication from Briscoe to the team.
I don't know what the hell Helio was doing there. That was strange.
Yeah, it looks like he tried to jump back in line behind us and mistimed it.
Yeah, but all the way through the corner, it was really weird how he checked up like that. I mean, we're all on the brake trying to miss him.
So Briscoe communicating is a little bit of confusion as to what his old teammate was doing. Of course, two sides to every story. We'll hear from Helio Castro-Neves a little later. We saw his car in the break getting craned away. So lap leaders, the man who's out of the race has led the most. The irony. Oh, the irony. Sato with 27. He has been spectacular today. And will Marco Andretti come back into the mix in his Andretti Autosport Honda late in this race? So, good number of the cars on the lead lap. And we've had a great range of leaders. Willpower car number one, position number one, will be in the prime spot for the restart, but you've got to be impressed with Graham Rahal. He's made up 17 positions from his starting spot. This is the reason we're under yellow. The one and only caution in the race so far. Helio Castro-Neves, the driver who has led more laps in this race than any other. Not really in the talking mood just at the moment.
Probably wanting to go back and see what's up with the car. If they fix that car, he'll get in it back there as to lose less time, maybe lose less laps. He is fourth in the championship, so I would imagine that they would get the car back out there.
So, still rolling under caution because the accident seed needed to be cleaned up. There you have it. That's the Penske garage for Helio Castroneves. And very, very fast assessment going on is to see if they can turn this round and get it back out there for Helio Castroneves. So the accident scene has been cleared up. There was other debris on track that needed to be collected and the track surface cleared and cleaned before we resume racing. This has been a wild one. This is a 500-mile race and a winner of one of the most famous 500-mile races ever, Joey Logano from Team Penske. The IndyCar race is wild and entertaining. These guys are nuts. Well, it certainly has been entertaining, Joey. That's for sure. Tim Cindric, president of Team Penske, who oversees the entire operation and the 4 Verizon Series IndyCars. Helio's back in the cockpit.
Yeah, he's gotten back in the car. So like I said, he wanted to get back in, lose as little time as possible. They'd have to pull the car back out to the pit lane before they can fire it up. And then instead of getting in it there, he's in it ready to go. As soon as it hits the pit lane, they'll start it and he'll leave right then. But they're going to put fresh tires on it in the garage. So, but when he gets to the pit lane, they'll start it at the entrance of the pits and he'll go.
Yeah, they must still have to give a fairly close scrutiny to any potential steering damage, suspension damage. We can see there's not a front wing on the car, so they've still got a significant amount of work to do. The mechanics now starting to take off those front rims and tyres off the front, but that was a fairly substantial shunt. Here go the mechanics now pulling the nose off and putting the replacement nose on. Good look around the car.
What was your assessment, Paul Tracy, of this accident?
Well, it looked to me like, you know, when Graham ran around the outside of him really tight, it kind of sucks these cars around. As we see Will come around, and I think he was just caught off guard. He was probably out of the throttle with the rate that everybody was passing, and everybody just came all over him.
He's done is to block this section of the car off on the front and the rear to make that a completely sealed box. And the idea is that when the car is spinning and therefore going in reverse, it stops air getting back underneath there. And the guys from IndyCar suggested, well, you need about 23 miles an hour more speed now to get that back of the car to raise and flip. So it seems that that modification, Lee, that we were talking about earlier on has made a difference. We didn't see the car rise at all.
Well, it was a very scary, to be honest, month of May at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We saw too many cars get air, and so IndyCar acting very quickly. And again, Montoya's view of what put us into a yellow.
Stand by. 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. 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 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition
We're back at Auto Club Speedway, Fontana, and you see the Team Penske Chevrolet of Helio Castroneves being wheeled back out onto pit road. What a great sight for his team, his mechanics. He plays 1/4 of the role for Team Penske, but a very important one. He's in the top 4 in the points and will want to get back out there, back running. Behind the safety car. That's now 14 odd laps under yellow. Just the one caution here last year as well for some 12 laps. It's Will Power and Graham Rahal. One Chevrolet, one Honda in the top 2. One Pablo Montoya third. Canaan, Carpenter, Dixon, Pagenaud as the front wing. The new front wing is connected for Helio Castroneves. Time to get going again. Hey, when we've seen, it doesn't matter what category of racing, when championships have been decided by a solitary point, even going on a countback. You got to get back out there and get into the mix. Never give up.
Well, Roger is not going to give up. He's going to maximize everything he can and gain every point. He's 14 laps behind now, but judging by the way that these guys have been racing, for sure, at some point, there's going to be a crash.
All right, ready to get things going again after some 15 laps of yellow. Let's go racing in Fontana, California. Will Power, the reigning series champion, leads the way. But watch that second car of Graham Rahal. He wants to take that Honda to the front.
Boy, he does, and he does in the biggest way as well. He run low, got onto the transmission, tried to pick up the toe, but I think Power has it back.
All right, there's a scramble in the pack, as you can imagine. The guys are ready to get going again. Power on the low line. Then Rahal on the inside is one Pablo Montoya.
4 wide going through the corner. This is like we've hit the reset button, and this is the start of the race again.
Look at this. Remember your tire pressures. Remember.
Whoa! Canaan and Carpenter.
You've got to be so careful after those laps behind the car.
Ease into it, guys.
Yeah.
We had 130-odd laps doing it nicely. And Briscoe, Ryan Briscoe, I can confirm, is getting a penalty for the contact with Helio Castroneves. Paul, I know you disagree with that.
I don't think I agree with that. I think it was just a situation of racing where, you know, Castroneves was just backing up into that group of cars and really nowhere for Ryan to go.
The yellow car is Simon Pagenaud for Team Penske, the pole sitter. He moves into third ahead of Montoya. Here comes Dixon in that orange and black degree car for Chip Ganassi Racing. Munoz on the low line, the green and white car. Andretti is back in the mix as well. Marco's had a great race today.
Look at these guys. 1, 2, 3, 4 wide.
Whoa!
Up, down, left, right.
Pagenaud managing to find pace by being low, but look at Montoya. For the last 2 laps, Montoya has been stalking the back of Pagenaud. Rahal coming down onto Montoya, and now Montoya is right on the transmission of Pagenaud.
There could be some guys working harder than the drivers today, and that's the spotters. Above us here, above the grandstand, who have to have about 3 sets of eyes to communicate what's going on to their drivers. 3 abreast again, 4 abreast again. Pagenaud on the inside along his Team Penske teammate. Many believe he could have won the Indianapolis 500 this year. Helio Castroneves out of his car. It could be day done for the Brazilian.
Yeah, I think whatever it is, they've sent the driver out to have a feel of the car after that collision, even though the engineers have given it a check over, but they've retired the car, I'm going to guess, at this point.
Andretti to the lead. Marco Andretti told Robin at the beginning of this broadcast, my car is great. Yesterday it almost felt too good to be true. Could we see a Honda win this 500-mile event?
Pagenaud.
We've got a lot of the race to go, but Simon Pagenaud, the pole sitter, he wants to argue that point.
He fights back on the inside. We still have 3-4 cars wide coming off of turn 4. 3 wide down the straightaway. Power, Canaan, Rahal, Montoya.
It's that low line again, Paul. That low line, that low right down to the track where the white line is. Look at the pace these guys are finding.
Look at Ed fly by on the inside. He went from 5th to 3rd now.
I think that's Munoz.
Oh,
it's Munoz. It's Carlos Munoz. The Detroit race.
Whoa!
And Rahal just wants to muscle Power out of the way. Watch Carlos Munoz. When he made his debut performance at the Indy 500 a couple of years ago, this is what he was magical at.
Munoz saw the speed down low. Rahal thought, hey, that's where the speed in the track is. Let's watch this again.
ducks down in front of the AJ Foyt machine, right alongside Montoya, fellow Colombian, and then just goes to the front.
There's the pace, there's the line, that's where the speed is on the track right now. Rahal thought, hey, I need some of that too. Heave down low, and here now on the opposite end, right at the top of the track, comes Pagenaud.
I'll tell you what, every one of these Andretti cars has now come alive. Marco's come back to the front, Munoz leading. Their teammates, Hunter-Reay is now in the frame. He's been able to close the gap. He's oh, that's the teammates. Teammates have collided. The CFH teammates are into the wall. Joseph Newgarden, the Toronto and Barber winner, and his owner and teammate, Ed Carpenter. And I'll tell you what.
And thing just took off, and then I wasn't told outside either.
All the momentum
Didn't know anyone was there.
In the last 2 weeks, to have it come to this, your two teammates in the wall, has got to be a huge disappointment.
The last two ovals, Texas Motor Speedway and here at Auto Club Speedway, we'll see a double DNF, double retirements for both CFH racing cars. That was Sarah Fisher looking on, one of the owners of CFH Racing, in no doubt in disbelief.
Drivers climbing out. That's a relief to see.
Ed say the front end took off, so he was probably in heavy traffic and the front slid out.
Let's have a look at it and see if we can see what happened.
See Ed here, he's running. He's out. He gets the air cut off of him and the front end just took off there. Yeah, so he had Montoya come across the nose. The front end started to slide and his teammate was there on the outside of him in the pack.
This will tell us the story. There's Newgarden way high coming round. He's got the momentum.
The front end goes on him and that's it. There's no more room to have.
Boy, oh boy, that's more of that very subtle body language from the cars, Paul. You called it perfectly. Just lost the front and it slid up.
Kelly, what you got?
Well, I've got the guy who probably knows how Ed Carpenter is feeling right about now, Elio Castroneves. His day was done early after leading so many laps. What happened out there, Elio?
Yeah, unfortunately, Rahal was coming up on me, and then kind of like he really squeezed a little bit on the top. So as soon as I put me in a position that I didn't want to, I was about to push, so I started lifting because I didn't want to crash out. I think we touched, and one lap before he was already squeezing me. I'm like, dude, you don't need to do that. So I'm kind of like lifting, and all of a sudden people come in and start chopping, and then the Briscoes and Will, all of a sudden, they just close it up. Briscoe didn't have to do that. He just turned into me, and obviously, as soon as he turned into me, I was like, damn, this was a tough one. I tell you what, woof, it was a long ride on sideways, and but AAA car and Chevy car engine was unbelievable. I mean, man, we had a fantastic car. It's a shame though to finish like this, but see what happened. Right now, when we went out, it looks like the toe links are bent, so we're gonna change and continue, keep going.
You were one of the drivers that said patience was key here. How surprised were you how intense it was out there from the drop of the green?
Yeah, for me, it was just a matter of take it easy. It's still half of the race. You can't convince everyone to do the same thing.
All right, we see these guys coming in for the pit stops. Thank you, Elio.
Yes, and not everyone is pitting, but Will Power has decided to pit. By my calculations, he would still have 2 more stops after this, so they may be trying to gamble on more yellow. So a routine stop, we see Ryan Hunter-Reay, James Jakes, and Scott Dixon, another player who's decided to take this early stop. Now we have people on different strategies. This will be interesting.
So, summarizing what Castroneves said, the whole accident was initiated by Rahal passing him so tight. He didn't like that he squeezed him tight, and he had to get out of the throttle and was backing up into that group, and that's a marginal penalty call, I think, for Briscoe. I think he was pretty unfairly penalized for that.
It was interesting to see that side-by-side replay of Castroneves pointing to his helmet, to his mind, obviously gesturing to Graham, saying, hey, come on, let's think about this. So there'll be 2 sides to the story, as always. This is the most recent accident, bringing us under yellow for the 2nd time today. watching the Verizon IndyCar Series here on NBCSN. We're under a slower pace, travelling at a slower pace under yellow for the second time today. But this has been a fascinating race. So much to talk about. And the ever-improving, Kevin, Andretti Autosport Hondas.
Well, it's been quite a day for Marco Andretti, who was leading, then fell back to 14th or 15th. How did you get him back up to the front, Michael?
We were just, at the beginning, it was a little bit of a fuel race, so we were just trying to get us into some windows, and we gave up some track position, but we feel like we have a pretty fast car, and we were able to get it back, and obviously these yellows helped us, so we think we're back in it.
What do you make of this racing? And you've got two cars, 1-2 right now with Munoz leading.
Yeah, unfortunately it's become a little bit of pack racing, so not crazy about that. So it's going to be a bit of a crapshoot.
Thank you, Michael Andretti.
The complexion of this race today only makes me think about years gone by, and I could easily see a Paul Tracy, Michael Andretti confrontation out there today.
Things were very confrontational in our career, and you didn't help us, Eddie, when we ran into Michael at dinner and you had to wind him up and upset him.
Just I remember those days very vividly at Surface Paradise when you managed to cut one of his tyres down with your front wing end plate.
He's still very angry about it, too. It's 20 years later.
Hey, Lee.
Robin, yes.
When Paul Tracy was a rookie, he stuffed Michael Andretti into the tires at Detroit. I think they were going for second place, and after the race we said, you know, that was Michael Andretti who stuffed in the tires. He said, well, he shouldn't be in my way.
Great competition, no doubt. You know what? As we take a more serious look at this, it's the Fuzzies Chevrolet for CFH Racing, and then the Hartman Oil car for Joseph Newgarden. Teammates crashing has not been a rare thing this year. Look, the Penske teammates going at it at St. Petersburg. Let's go ahead to another street race in Detroit too, and it is Charlie Kimball there alongside, and he collects his teammate from Target Chip Ganassi Racing, Scott Dixon. How about this? Still at Detroit, mind you. And we've got the two drivers from Team Penske, Helio Castro-Neves and Will Power. And then, of course, today we got these two, Newgarden and Ed Carpenter. Kelly?
And really, worst case scenario out there, Ed, and you guys were just both in medical together. What did you discuss?
I just apologize. You know, I had gotten into the three with a pack of cars, and I didn't really want to go to the second lane, and I got shoved down there. You know, guys are kind of driving crazy, especially on restarts. But I got in second lane and got understeer and just started pushing up the track. And I could have left more room there if I would have known that someone was coming. I didn't get much information from my spotter on that one. So it's pretty unfortunate. You know, not much worse. And getting in a crash, you know, still haven't finished the race this season in the 20 car and take out my teammate. It sucks pretty bad.
And Joseph, for you to go from the highest of highs to probably the lowest of lows, how do you wrap your head around this?
Well, it's racing. You know, I think, you know, the only reason we got together was we were just next to each other at that moment. So it happens. I think we had good cars. We got pushed back a little bit early, and they came back later on. I could have lifted too, but I was already had a full head of steam, and I didn't want to get out of it. And I thought I didn't know what was going to happen at that point. And then we ended up getting together. But it's one of those deals. It's just racing.
All right, good to see both of you out of medical. Thank you.
Think about this for the last three races for CFH Racing, which is Carpenter, Fisher, Hartman Racing. They've gone from a double retirement, both guys out at Texas Motor Speedway, to the team's best ever moment of its first 1-2 on the streets of Toronto to today, and another double retirement. There are peaks and valleys for that team. They're riding a roller coaster at the moment.
Yeah, they really are. And it's very unfortunate there for Carpenter. It just lost the front of that car as PT was describing earlier on there, and it just washes the front away. We talk about being able to run low, but to run low you've got to have great mechanical grip, good aero, very good aero, and if you haven't, all of a sudden you just start to slide away, and that's what happened. It's just a classic example of that. Very unfortunate that there were two teammates.
So you may remember earlier in this race there was a pit crew member for Dale Coyne Racing who was accidentally collected coming in for a pit stop. Votes. Yeah, Robin, what's the latest?
That was the inside left front man. Lee, his name is Oren Trower. And Dale Coyne just told me he doesn't think anything's broken. He just said he's complaining about his back hurts. He said he's not yelling about his back hurting. He's just complaining. So they're hopeful nothing's going to be broken and he's going to be back in a couple weeks.
Very unfortunate indeed. And as we were describing earlier on, the mechanics, they cannot move because they're on their knees waiting with the air guns to take the wheels and tires off when the car comes in. You have to have utter, complete, 100% confident that the driver is going to stop inch perfect. And when that doesn't happen, just a couple of inches left or right, there's going to be an accident.
Briscoe's got something dragging behind there.
It looks like, well, it's gone now. It looked like a little tape or something was stuck to the bottom there as he comes in and tops off. Got some extra service, puts himself in a different category of fuel and strategy compared to the leaders. So look for him to come back through the field strong.
Well, speaking of strategy, that's exactly the reason. A little bit of luck. That team won earlier this year, ready to go racing again. It's Andretti, teammates at the front. Carlos Munoz, Marco Andretti. Green flag flies here at Fontana. Let's go. The teammates wheel to wheel.
Marco wants to be back in the lead. These two need to really work together and try to stretch it out on the rest of this pack. But Marco wants the lead again.
End of the second caution period done, and here it comes. The pack is grouping. The pack is together again, and Kanaan goes the high side in the NTT Data Chevrolet for Chip Ganassi Racing. Remember, he won at the very last race here last year. Kanaan loves this track. He could be the favourite again today.
Boy, but look at the cars moving around Lee at the front again, just like we saw with Ed Carpenter. Remember those low tyre pressures and low ride heights, a result of running behind the pace car. Just take your time for a lap to get everything back up to speed.
Right now we have 4 Hondas running in the top 5, but we have about 15 cars running within about a half a second of each other, but 4 Hondas in the top 5 right now.
Munoz on the inside, Steve, not worried about Kanaan. Hugs that line.
There it is. That's the fastest line around the track, but keep your eye also on Sato. There he is in our picture in the 14 ABC car at the top. He wants to get in this fight for the lead.
Ray Hall and Andretti, two of the most famous names in the history of the sport. And on the inside is Will Power. Look at this. Making a move, Jan, right to the front. Was there an adjustment made on that last stop after going backwards before we went to yellow? Power looks strong.
And what they decided to do was take new tires. They are not trying to save fuel and save a stop. They decided, Tim Cindric told me, we're going to take on new tires. We can vault ourselves to the front on new tires, and then when we pit next time, we'll have to take less fuel. So this paid immediately with new tires. He shoots to the front.
Well, the low line is where it is, and Munoz is going to have another look at that low line now, working on Will Power. Will was getting great speed down low. He now pulls high up to the top of the track, but look at Munoz.
There's a traffic jam in Southern California. I know that's not rare, but it's at 200 miles an hour.
210 mile an hour traffic jam as Ray Hall goes to the top.
Inside,
Sato on the bottom, slicing up in front of Kanaan. These guys are almost touching wheels.
This is what Castro Neves was saying before. Whoa! Ray Hall is now getting slow. He and Tony Kanaan brush.
There had to have been contact. There had to have been.
And look at Hunter-Reay. He's come from the back of the field, steadily working his way forward, coming up on 2/3 distance.
Munoz now working that high line. And once again, it is the bottom 2 tracks or lines around this circuit which seems to have the most pace.
You know what? Just outside of turn 4 here at Auto Club Speedway, there's a go-kart track, and they were racing today, and it looked very much like this. It wasn't at 210 miles an hour, though. Ray Hall and Sato.
Oh.
Ray Hall now zips up the outside, takes that high line.
Honda's swarming all over Chevys. Honda's coming to the front. All of them. Every Honda in the field seems like they're at the front of the field right now.
This day could not have come fast enough for Honda Performance Development. They have endured a very trying season.
3 wide, yeah, but I still think that low line, Paul Tracy, seems to be the fastest way around this track.
We'll see when Graham Rahal takes a 4 wide. Oh my God.
Takuma Sato, the man who took it for Dario Franchitti at the Indy 500 on the last lap several years ago, goes to the front for AJ Foyt.
Well, if we want evidence that the low line was the fastest way around the track at that point, Sato just said, I'll prove it to you.
Sato and Power. Takuma goes back up the front, and if he can lead this lap, it'll be the 28th lap he's led in this race.
Very strong race for the Foyt team. Look at this in-car here as we see Sato gets a big draft. He pops out, and the momentum carries him by 4 wide on the entrance of the corner, and Rahal touching wheels with Munoz and still completes the pass.
They're like display fighter jets.
Munoz had to get out of it. He's lost several positions, but still runs 5th. Power now in the Verizon Chevy returns the favor, and enter the scene again, Tony Kanaan on the low line.
I've got to feel Kanaan's going to find pace in the track running low, but the question is, how long can you run low for? He's already started to run wide.
Karam.
Yeah, he got squeezed by Montoya. He wanted to go to the outside. Montoya says, "Nuh-uh, because kid, you're not going that way."
Can you believe what a breath of fresh air this is for the man in that yellow DHL Honda, Ryan Hunter-Reay, who has had one of his leanest seasons in a long, long time. Back towards the front and feeling competitive.
Once again, Sato pulls out from the gearbox of Power, runs to that low line. Power says, yep, that's where it is. Now I'm going to try and get on your gearbox.
Tell you what, the Honda is not short on power. We saw that in Texas. We saw the way he just pulled by that Penske car on the straightaway.
Yeah.
Honda's deficiency so far has been their aero package. The motor, I think, is probably better than the Chevy.
Yeah, and I think on these oval tracks, if you take that downforce, if you take the wings away from the car, relatively low downforce settings on the car, all of a sudden you take that drag penalty away, the Honda comes alive.
Oh, these guys are just wheel to wheel, 215 miles an hour on the straightaway. You can't put a sheet of paper between the two cars.
No.
Takuma Sato.
Hey.
Tony Kanaan, Graham Rahal, who has been in the thick of it after coming back from the high teens where he started. He's made up 16, 17 positions from his starting spot, and now up there has not been shuffled back. He's staying at the front.
Rahal on that high line I thought was going to squeeze through right at the top of the track. Kanaan said, no, I'll show you how to make the move on Sato. It's not high, it's low.
Yeah, look at Montoya coming on the low side. It seems like everybody wants to run middle to the top, but once somebody pops to that low side, they make up a lot of ground, but they can't keep the car there for very long.
If you're wondering how long this mayhem's been going on for, about 179 laps. Right from the very beginning, it has been a race to savor, that's for sure. And still so much more to come right here on NBCSN. track may be half the length of this one, but we're looking forward to the next round of the Verizon IndyCar Series coming your way Sunday, July 12. It's the Wisconsin 250 from the famed Milwaukee Mile. We welcome you back to Auto Club Speedway, and we welcome you back to what has been a fascinating race. It has been highly entertaining, thoroughly enjoyable, and you're looking at that red MyJack Honda for Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan Racing. Dive to the inside again. Graham Rahal is right alongside the veteran Tony Kanaan, and here comes Marco Andretti on the high side. Andretti sweeps right around the outside of both of them. Again.
It's just been saying all the pace seems to be down low for a short period of time. Marco Andretti says, nope, I'm going to do it around the top of the track.
And you know what? That was very reminiscent of his father, Michael. Michael was brilliant on the high line.
Sage on the far outside there trying to make a move on, I can't recognize, I think it was Power, and he got chopped off on the entrance to the corner. So Sage is now back in the scene. He fell back during the beginning of the race and led for a bit, then fell back, and now he's back up in the frame.
Look, and this is going to get shuffled, as Jan Beeker said earlier. This is going to get shuffled because you've got guys out there on varying strategies. Andretti, Rahal, Montoya, Sato, and Kanaan all pitted on the same lap last time round, but Power is different. So too is Dixon and Kanaan. Here we go. Here's the shuffle, Kev.
Well, that yellow greatly helped Carlos Munoz. He was languishing 10th to 15th, and they wanted a yellow to change a front wing. So that's how he shot from 16th to the front. Contact shuffled him back in. You can see him really cranking on that front wing, and they're likely going to need one more pit stop for Carlos Munoz.
Graham Rahal, remember, he started 19th. He has said at times, I can put this car pretty much anywhere I want it. And that means contending for the lead in the late stages of this race. He seems to be very happy with his race car. Didn't hear him ask for any changes on this pit stop, but we'll keep an eye on it to see if they adjust the front wing. So far, right now, it's just getting some stick.
Whoa! No.
You saw him pull the fire hose off.
That is no good right there. He was in, he pulled out. Graham left, and for some reason the fueler went back in with the fuel after the car was moving, and that is going to be a problem.
Unbelievable confusion down in the pits. What on earth happened there? As you say, PT, fuel hose was off and then for some reason back on. Here it is in replay.
Yeah,
let's have a look.
Fuel was flowing. Tires are done. He comes out and goes back in for some reason, and Graham leaves.
Oops. I wonder whether or not, Paul, fuel wasn't flowing, and that was the reason that the refueler put the nozzle back on. Well, there's the splash of fuel.
Well, there's fuel coming out of that Buckeye at the end, but that you cannot afford to have that happen now at this stage of the race.
Oh boy.
Juan Pablo Montoya taking the opportunity now with a clear pit to make some changes. They had been talking on the radio. They said, we're going to take wing out. Then they said, no, we're not. So we're going to look to see. In fact, it looks like at the front, they did not make any changes. 7.7 seconds. He had a clear pit to do it because people were on different strategies.
Here at the front, we pick up Marco Andretti, who has had an amazing run today. Will Power right behind.
At some point, Lee, they're going to have to go yellow because that fuel Buckeye is out on the track somewhere. So I think they're allowing these guys to do their pit stops before they go and call a yellow. But this is a critical moment here for Montoya.
Yellow.
Ooh. Sage Karam is in the pits. Coletti is in there as well, as this third yellow is called. So Andretti was able to get serviced and sent. However, this is now going to shuffle things up pretty interestingly because the top three guys, Power, Dixon, Hunter-Reay, all pitted on the same lap last time around. Then you got Briscoe in no man's land. He's 6 laps off. There's that fuel part of the fuel hose, the insertion point.
There's the main part of it.
Yeah,
right.
The Buckeye is there. You do not want to run that over. That's about a 5, 6, 7 pound piece of aluminum right there. As we see Newgarden's car comes back out.
Well, that was the strangest confusion I've seen on a refueling pit stop for a long while.
I wonder if that's a penalty for Graham. Because it.
What a shame on a day that was going so well. Show you again.
Now, which is the signal to release the car?
just don't know why the fueler went back in.
Yeah.
He was pulled out, the car came down, the tires were done, he pulled out, and then decided to go back in for some reason. Maybe we can get an answer from them.
The mechanic on the right front, wheel change mechanic, the mechanic in the orange overalls, it's his responsibility to wave Graham back out. This is the guy here, right here, who will give the signal to the driver, go, go, go. There's his hand, watch it there.
He says go.
Release the car.
He's saying go.
Yeah, so I mean, it's not the driver's fault.
Yeah, like Graham can't see what the fueler's doing. He's watching his outside front guy, and when he waves him to go, it's go.
The question is, PT, fueler go back in. Was he asked over his radio to do that? We don't know.
So under yellow for the third time due to the debris needing to be collected from Graham Rahall's Honda. And a nice little gesture there on the side of his cockpit. Get well Hinch, referencing James Hinchcliffe after Hinch's big crash in the month of May at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. He continues to recover in a speedy fashion, and we're all thinking of you, James. Can't wait to see you back at the track soon.
Welcome back to Auto Club Speedway, where during that break you may have seen on the side of the screen that some people decided to come onto pit road and make stops. Many of the leaders did so. You can see the pack led by Will Power. Now, all these cars that stopped did so under yellow, so they do not lose a lap. Now, on many other races you see in IndyCar competition, you want to try to get pitted just before the yellow. Not the case here on an oval. So people like Munoz, people like Pagano that we saw stop under green just before this yellow, they're now back a lap. Not a complete lap, but they're going to be now at the tail end of the lead lap. So these cars here, they lose position, but not a lap, because under green, you lose that because of the intense speed out on the racetrack.
And we are fast approaching the final 50 laps here at Auto Club Speedway. That is the front wing of Sage Karam's car. Boy, he has been in the thick of it, and we're going to follow up a report that there may have been a slight collision with the 14 of Takuma Sato. He features in our Chevrolet driver profile, this 20-year-old American, immensely talented, Indy Lights champion, and led his first laps of his career today, has not been intimidated by the high-speed 2-mile Fontana circuit, and has really been in the thick of things.
Well, he's with Takuma Sato again, and he has had an ongoing battle with Takuma Sato since the first lap, first corner of the Indy 500. So let's hope this doesn't continue, but these two seem to be like a magnet that can't stay apart from each other.
Pole sitters in for Team Penske. Simon Pagenaud, what kind of day is today going to be? Can he convert his first ever oval pole to a victory?
And they just gave him the pass by. Those I mentioned, Pagenaud, Munoz, they passed them by, so they're at the very end of the order. So what you do, come on to pit road and top off on fuel. They will still have one more stop. Everyone, as far as my calculations, unless there were a lot of yellow, will have another stop today. This is something, so when you make your final stop, you won't have to be here as long because you won't need as much fuel.
Yeah, it was a very brief refueling period there, Jan, wasn't it? Maybe 2.5 seconds of fuel just to top off.
Well, guys, message from race control at the moment. There is no penalty at the moment, I reiterate, for the leaving the pit box from Graham Rahal with the fuel hose still inserted. However, it will be under review at the conclusion of this event.
A little bit of damage here to the wheel pod there, and that on the right rear you can see that just taking the number decal off. But a little bit of damage. I mean, Sato has been in the thick of it all afternoon.
Looks like they're going to have to change the rear bumper section. The guy was wiggling that, and it looked pretty loose. It was shaking around, yeah. So they are going to take the opportunity now under yellow and make this change.
Yeah, it'll be a whole wing change,
right? Good opportunity to maybe take some downforce off or do something to make his cars quick, possibly make it quicker. He's been able to come through the field a couple times now. It's taking a while, this one.
And Paul, as you said, changing now that rear wing. They've already had to change the nose after Takuma said he got chopped by Sage Karam and had damage earlier in the race. He was able to come back from that incident. Now, once again, he said Sage got into the rear of him. So like you said, kind of two magnets. But again, another stop. This is going to shuffle him to the back of the pack, and he's going to have to work his way forward yet again. Jan?
Kelly, while you're looking at what's happening in the pits, it's hard for me to understand how race control needs to wait till after the race to decide what to do with Graham Rahal, because it was quite clear, there's video evidence that he left with equipment engaged. It was a safety issue, and the rules are fairly clear that if they determine, the stewards, that was unsafe, which I think is very clear, that there's a penalty coming. So I'm not quite sure what else you would need to see, because you want this penalty to be done now, Paul, don't you? You don't want to wait till after the race.
Well, I would think so. I mean, they've been giving out a lot of midweek penalties and fines and things like that and points, but clearly this is a pit infraction and would typically be a drive-through penalty, right?
Yes, they have a variance, but certainly anytime it's an unsafe, that is the definition to me of an unsafe situation. That could obviously have burst into flames, and I'm just not sure what else needs to be reviewed in this case.
Yeah. Ready to go back to racing after our third full course caution. Green flies, and out in front is Marco Andretti.
Look at Charlie. He's been nowhere all day, and now he's coming down the inside here, moving his way forward. He's a guy that loves this side-by-side racing.
That's the green and blue car there, the Novo Nordisk Levemir car. One of the squad of Chip Ganassi racing cars. Look at Ryan Hunter-Reay on the outside in the yellow machine for Andretti Autosport running high. Down low it's Marco Andretti, then Will Power, Juan Pablo Montoya, Ryan Briscoe's in the background. Scott Dixon is still very much in the mix.
Watching these cars go around here, it's like staged acrobatic flying, but nobody seems to know what the other guy's going to do. They're not on the radio with each other. It's just like mad chaos.
200 down, 50 laps to go. here at Auto Club Speedway Fontana. What a race it's been today. Here comes the points leader, Montoya. The Indy 500 winner puts his nose ahead and goes high.
Look at Hunter-Reay in the middle line, Power on the bottom, Dixon up top. Champions, 4 champions running 4 abreast coming through the corner.
Briscoe staying low, working his way forward. Lost a little bit of momentum, but don't discount Briscoe from running that low line.
Ryan Hunter-Reay in a very rare situation in 2015.
Come on, Ryan, get
running
in the lead.
to the front. RHR, here he comes. This is uncharted territory in 2015. It's been a miserable season for the former champ and Indy 500 winner. Now Dixon down the inside, 3 abreast and 4 wide. Can you believe what we've seen today in California?
It's that low line again, Lee. The low line is where the pace is, and now Briscoe. Look at this, Briscoe now running P4.
And he was all the way at the back of the field, had to make a change on the rear bumper. Now he's all the way back forward, so he has a very, very strong car. Look at up to 4th now.
For the last 5 laps or so, Briscoe's been working that low line, just keeps putting his nose out, just seeing what's around, but that is where the pace is. It is right down low, but you've got to be careful. You can't run there for long.
Briscoe back, or Hunter-Reay back to the lead. Let's see if he can cross the line in the lead. He has a nice gap as Briscoe comes with him on the low line.
Briscoe's going to make P2 any time now.
Oh, Sage Karam high. Marco, Dixon, Kanan.
Briscoe gets squeezed. Power forces through. Kanan down low. Montoya up high. And Andretti right in the middle. Let's talk about our man out in front, though, Kev.
First laps led this year for the champion from 2012 and last year's Indy 500 winner. They decided to start all over this weekend. This is a brand new, totally rebuilt car. You can even see there are different shades of yellow if you look close at this car. The Hondas, yes, have not been as strong, but said we can't complain because we haven't been the best Honda. That's our goal. Right now, they're the best of everyone.
1, 2, 3, line astern. Kanan pulls to the right to find his way through. Power also pulls right to take that high line, but I don't think that's where the speed in the track is.
Well, he's got the momentum now. I think he'll pull by Hunter-Reay here and pull into the lead. Hunter-Reay has been pretty good off of 3 and 4, keeping it low here, but as he surges ahead into the corner. But look at Montoya now coming around on the top.
Briscoe down low as well. The Schmidt-Peterson Honda, the gold car, as he runs right alongside Will Power, Montoya, Andretti, and Rahal now back in the mix.
And Rahal came back through the field pretty quick. He was at the back, now he's all the way back at the front again. So
watch Briscoe, watch Briscoe now. Out, pulls out, he's got that low line.
You're outside.
Any second now, Briscoe is going to be leading this race.
And that was a Ryan Hunter-Reay style move on how he won the Indy 500 last year. Down on that low line, Ryan Briscoe now puts the arrow machine ahead.
Look at that, look at that. Briscoe's been working that for 10 laps.
Inside, 3 inside.
That was almost 5 wide.
Wow. Kanan says, I can see you. I can see where.
No room there, Montoya. He had to back out of it there. He was trying to squeeze between Power and the wall, and it was just running out of space.
Credit to the drivers. They have been rock stars today. Incredible performance from the Verizon IndyCar Series drivers.
On board with Montoya. But Montoya is not really in this fight right now, but remember what he said right at the start of this race. Be patient, be patient.
Look at Rahal on the bottom. He almost touches tires with Hunter-Reay.
Briscoe and Power, side by side, former Penske teammates.
Right in the middle of the track is a good place to be. But there's no doubt that low line is the fast line.
If you can keep it there.
Bingo.
The momentum is on the top, the shortest distance is on the bottom, and anywhere in between you can make a pass.
Yeah.
And Marco Andretti from mid-line to high line, and here it comes again, the Andretti Autosport Honda around Kanan, looking for that position as he hunts down Will Power. Do not count Marco Andretti out of this one. What a day he's had. You're watching IndyCars on NBCSN, and one of the most exhilarating races we have seen in a long, long time. And it's kind of got that record-setting feel to it today, and we could well do it. An IndyCar Series record as far as lead changes is 73. Coincidentally, it happened at this track back in 2001. We've logged 67 already. We are on record-setting pace for the amount of lead changes, and it just seems par for the course today.
And you think this is intense racing, just sitting here watching it. As a driver, I've done this in the past, Steve, and you asked me, what is it like? Is it physical? Is it mental? And this is just adrenaline overload. When you get done with this, you're just completely drained mentally of all your senses, and it's hard to sleep because your mind just keeps going and going and replaying everything that happened in the race.
Briscoe with a view of car number 8, a car that he used to drive, now occupied by Sage Karam, the 20-year-old rookie. Firestone telemetry shows us some important numbers on Briscoe's car as Karam maintains that position. Will Power, Andretti, Kanaan, and then Karam and Briscoe. Robin?
PT's talking about how close everything is. PT, how does this compare to the late 90s when you had the Hanford device in kart? I remember Zanardi hated it because everybody kept passing each other. It looks like a different kind of a pass with these cars, though.
Yeah, I mean, the racing is a tighter pack now. The speeds were higher then simply because we had much more horsepower. But this, like I said, this is just adrenaline overload for these guys. You're just on the edge all the time in this race.
The jostling, the maneuvering, the positioning has been spectacular. We've had 3 cautions for a total of 32 laps. The most spectacular teammates at CFH Racing coming together. Helio Castro Neves was involved in the first accident, in the first yellow. But it came after 130 odd laps. The opening stanza to this race, almost more than the opening half, was scintillating.
Incredible to watch these cars. It's like fighter jets fighting each other. Typically you'd have two jets fighting each other. Here we have a pack of 23 of them all flying in formation here, just moving and bobbing and weaving. It's just incredible racing.
Just the 3 retirements. We've got the top 16, 17 cars on the lead lap. Marco Andretti to the low side now on Will Power.
Just pulls out, gets that little bit of a draft. You pull out into the air and there's a big draft, of course. Just enough to take that low line on board with Graham.
You see Graham Rahal now pulling his way back up into the lead group after that disastrous pit stop. No penalty on that pit stop, so he's coming along pretty good here. Definitely has a shot at winning this.
Guys, let's check in with Kelly Stavis for a moment for an update on that situation involving Graham Rahal. Kel?
And that fueling debacle was just human error, plain and simple. Ricardo Note suspecting that the fueler wanted to make sure it was topped off and just made a mistake going back in that second time. So no one instructed him to do it. It was just a mistake. The team took it in stride. No one passing the blame on this one.
Boy, oh boy, well that is incredibly unfortunate. It is a catastrophic thing to do. It is such an orchestrated ballet of maneuvers down there in the pit stop. Everybody is keying on everybody else. But the mechanic who waves Graham out into the pit lane, any of those guys on the right front, they will see the fuel hose come off, and that is their signal to indicate to the driver, go, go, go. The refueler should never go back on without making it abundantly clear to the rest of the team what he has to do. Oh, something.
Big piece of bodywork.
It looks like a wheel pod.
Bumper, yeah, bumpers in the back straight away there. And this will set the stage for the shootout here, and it'll be gangbusters after that.
Yeah. Ray Hall running side by side with Kanaan. Andretti still chasing after Will Power. Who does it belong to? That's the question we need answered.
Yellow flag, yellow flag.
And that's understandable. Fourth yellow on the day, just to collect that. There it is off to the left. Driver's left, is it Carlos Munoz?
Yeah, he's missing the right side.
Let's have a look. Here we go. There's going to be contact between he and Scott Dixon. Is it? No?
Came up in front of him, and Dixon cut down
there it is.
and took the bumper with him, and that will probably have caused some damage to Dixon's front wing as well.
Yeah, I'm sure it must have done, Paul. That's quite a sizable chunk of bodywork, isn't it?
Yeah,
those
just
wheel pods.
Slid right up in front of him, did a slide job, and Dixon cut back down to go by him again and took the bumper with him. Looks like there's no damage to Dixon's car. It looks okay.
It really does.
Yeah. Very lucky.
Yeah.
So while we're under this fourth full course caution, we are joined in the NBC SN announce booth by the president of competition for the Verizon IndyCar Series Championship, Mr. Derek Walker. Derek, welcome. And we have to just get to the business at hand, and that is the Ray Hall situation. Kelly Stavers checked in with the team. They put their hand up and said, look, it was just human error. The refueler just went back in a second time of his own volition. However, no penalty yet has been assessed for Ray Hall or the 15 car. Can you tell us a little bit more?
Yeah, exactly. The stewards looked at that, and they considered that it was a post-race penalty. It certainly looked pretty scary there, but it's going to be reviewed, and there will be a penalty coming, I can assure you. They just didn't levy a penalty that affected the competition on track.
All right, throng of pit stops coming now. Keep in mind, we've got, this will be the final one. This will be the final one of the day, Kev.
Marco Andretti trying to win for the third time and the first time in 4 years. Final pit stop. He comes in as the leader. They've had a good car, a bad car. Right now it's good again, and he's back out, Jan.
Will Power also having his service. He's going with sticker Firestones. We look to see he's clearly he has the lead leaving, but there's a gaggle of cars all fighting for that second and third spot.
Race off pit road. Power did well. Andretti.
That's the critical stop of the race, the final stop. Power out front. He's been on that lighter fuel or the heavier fuel level because he was off strategy, which was an advantage for him. He was long gone.
Here's the race. There's Marco. There's the Ray Hall. There's Kanaan. Look at Pagenaud closest to us here, and Briscoe on the far side. Whew. It has been a scramble today. Carlos Munoz, after being collected by Scott Dixon, has got a new rear assembly on. We'll squeeze in a quick break. This is going to be a frantic run to the checkered flag.
Oh, wow, look at this. Talk about subtle. This is anything but subtle. Whoa!
That's the Detroit.
Whoa!
Oh my God.
Inside.
Inside. Up, inside. 3 inside.
That was almost 5 wide.
5 wide.
Wow.
And that's the reason why we've just hit a new IndyCar Series record. Wait for it, 75 lead changes.
This has been intense racing for everybody involved. It's going to be interesting after the race to see how the drivers feel about this. I know they're not crazy about the pack racing, but man, is it ever exciting to watch.
And this guy is super exciting. The two-time Indy 500 winner, points leader, Juan Pablo Montoya. Listen to this radio transmission.
I think we need to put a wing in it, you know what I mean? Because they see if I can run the bottom, then we can win.
Put some more wing in it. If I can do that, I can run the bottom and I can win.
He likes your line, Steve.
Yeah, I mean, that seems to have been the fast line. To me, when we've been watching it, Paul, it is the fastest way around. But as you were explaining to me yesterday, boy, you can't live down there for very long without wing on the car. And that's exactly what Montoya is calling for here. Give me more downforce. I can run that inside line down low. I can win the race.
Still under yellow for the 4th time. And that's what I was just talking about when we came back from the break. So, as far as the most all-time lead changes, we've achieved it today. And we've achieved it in very exciting and rapid fashion. What a day it's been at Auto Club Speedway Fontana. So, the bodywork has been cleaned up. The track is ready to go, and we have got but 23 laps to go when they hit the line here. Will Power, the reigning #1 in IndyCar, will see that green flag first, but he's got a couple of very fast Hondas hunting him down. Andretti and Rahal, here they come.
2 Hondas wanting to get around this Chevy of Power. Could this be Honda's day? They've been struggling so far this year, only have 2 wins on the board, and they are looking for this big super speedway win.
Kanan down low, look at that blue car there. Rahal up high, Kanan up high. This is awesome, no more fuel needed, no more tyres needed. This is a raw, flat-out race to the checkered flag. Marco Andretti takes the low line now.
Protect those tyres, protect those tyres.
Look at Montoya.
The Indy 500 winner wants the action. And Simon Pagenaud right around the outside. The pole sitter, the new Penske man. He wants to win for the captain here in California.
The speed's not there, Lee. The speed is not there at that line. You've got to get down. It's down inside. Look at him now. Look at Will Power running down very low.
But look at Sage on the top side coming around high. You're saying it's on the bottom, but look at that red and white car coming around the outside.
The rookie is mixing it with the big boys. Look at him go. Andretti drops low. Oh, Briscoe has to check up. Let's ride with Ryan. Almost collecting, and he has to go below the white line, not to hit Rahal.
Had to get out of the throttle there, and he's been passed by 4 or 5 cars. He was fighting for 3rd, and now he's about 10th.
Look at Power go straight down to that low line. Here comes his Penske teammate and arch rival.
Montoya is there. Montoya now right in the middle of the track.
The top 2 from this year's Indianapolis 500 going at it here in the second 500-mile race of the year at Auto Club Speedway. 3 wide now. Rahal, Andretti, and Kanan.
Lap 230, 20 laps to go.
Watch that red car, watch that red car. It's got the low inside line.
Montoya on the top. Rahal getting the draft off of Power. Kanan getting the draft. They both pull to the right.
Almost 4 wide. Boy, Power makes his intentions clear down the back, doesn't he, on the run to 3.
Look at Sage on the top with the momentum.
Apparently 15 of Graham Rahal is getting a warning from race control. Perhaps just to tidy it up just a little.
How do you tidy it up when you're trying to thread the needle through a pack of cars? It's almost impossible to do.
And at 210 miles an hour, whoa! Power down low again. Rahal in the draft.
Warning for blocking. Warning for blocking now.
Rahal low. Rahal is going to be P2 any second now.
That's going to fire him up. Don't discount Ryan Briscoe in that Gold Arrow car for Schmidt Peterson Motorsports, filling in for James Hinchcliffe. Briscoe has been brilliant today and continues to come back. Hunter-Reay's not done. Dixon's there now in the mix. Montoya fighting back with the rookie Sage Karam.
Look at Briscoe on the bottom. He's been on that bottom line all day as he moves into second.
Yeah.
Tony Kanaan, who won here last year in the season finale, he's not done with yet. For Chip Ganassi in that NTT Data car, it's one Chevy, one Honda. Power, Briscoe. Then we pick up Kanaan and Montoya. Hey, that red and white car, the pilot of that is a 20-year-old American rookie, Sage Karam, putting up a super performance here in the closing laps of the MAV TV 500.
Kanaan goes high. It is Power Kanaan. Kanaan doing good stuff.
Power was really protecting the bottom as he sees he blocks the bottom line to let anybody get for underneath of him as Kanaan makes a move to the outside.
Kev, what have you got on Briscoe?
Running third right behind that tandem. Remember, he made contact early in the race with Castroneves, fell to the back. He was trying to cheer up the team, saying, we've got a great car, we can still get there. He also told me before the race, as he dipped to the low side of Kanaan and working on power, he said, I can run on the low line, maybe better than anybody else, and I'm good on old tires. That might be the difference as Briscoe goes to the lead.
Pushes past fellow Aussie Will Power. Now the rundown. Watch Will Power here. He'll get out of the draft, but the's not an avenue there. He can't go to his favourite line. He's stuck in the middle between Kanaan and Briscoe.
Stay low, Briscoe. Stay low, stay low.
High is Ray Hall. Karam's not out of it. Hunter-Reay and Dixon.
Look at Montoya. He had a run off the bottom there, but there's a log jam.
Stay on target. Stay low, Ryan.
Remember the Indianapolis 500. Juan Pablo Montoya was spectacular. The way he drove through the field from 30th to win for the second time. And he saved the best to last in the closing laps.
Push it now, push it now, push it now. Stay low. It's 15 laps to go. Power slightly ahead.
3 outside, now 3 outside.
4 wide. But Ryan Briscoe staying with that low line. Stay low.
Look at Dixon. Watch that orange and black car. The Degree machine for Chip Ganassi Racing.
Power fighting back. Power right in the middle of the track. He has the advantage, but Briscoe, you've got to stay low, son.
Well,
stay
Montoya's
low.
got the lower line now. He's had to move up the track into about the middle.
14 laps to go.
And any of these guys tries to go low, but he can't.
Kanaan trying to fight past. He's trying to push Briscoe and take command of that low line. Briscoe, you cannot relieve that line now. You've got to stay right there.
Ray Hall goes high, trying that option, and all of a sudden arriving on the scene is Takuma Sato. Look out, because he's been racy today. He's led 31 laps, Takuma Sato. He wants in on this action.
Ryan, you've got to get low, get low, get low. You're too high. You won't be able to do it there. You'll lose the pace. 13 laps to go. Look at them split left and right.
5 wide.
Looking inside.
Sato!
On the warm-up lane.
Sato wants that inside line. Briscoe, son, you cannot give it up.
Ray Hall has been spectacular up high.
13 laps to go.
He comes down right alongside Will Power and squishes him to the white line.
Power knows where that line is. Power has been trying to fight around the outside. It isn't going to work well. If you want to win this race, you've got to get right down low.
Dixon's come on the scene now.
He's been biding his time, sitting back there in 5th and 6th, and all of a sudden, Will Power's been shuffled back to 5th.
12 to go.
Ryan Briscoe, Graham Rahal we ride with, Scott Dixon and Juan Pablo Montoya, and down low goes Kanaan in the blue car. The NTT Data machine. Wow, Dixon then jinks a little bit, and up against the wall is Will Power.
Briscoe remains down low. Don't give it up. Do not give it up. Wow, the speed of the cars around the outside. Yes, that is the place to be if you're in the lead in the middle of that track.
Tell you what, I think Ray Hall's car is very strong as he pulls into the lead.
Whoa,
they almost touch tires.
Man, that'll take just
Kanaan
a couple of
comes on the outside.
2 outside.
Coming up on the final 10 laps.
Don't give up that line. Everybody wants Briscoe's line. They're all trying to find a way around him on the outside, on the underside.
Graham Rahal has won 1 IndyCar race in his career. and it was so long ago. He's sick of being asked that question of when you're going to win another one.
He's got the train of cars behind him, and there is a push effect, and he's cleared Briscoe now and can take over that line.
Watch your inside, Ryan. It'll come back to you, it'll come back to you, it'll come back to you.
Briscoe now, oh, they draw wheel. Oh, there it goes, it's a big one. Oh, and it's Takuma Sato and Will Power inside the final 10 laps.
I think this will end the race under yellow, or if they don't red flag this, because that will take a little while to clean up.
Goodness gracious.
Perhaps you could say it's not surprising. The boys were going at it pretty hard.
I'll tell you what, at some point the levee has to break. When you're running like that in that kind of formation, it can only go on for so long. Will Power throws his steering wheel from the car. He knows that this is critical to the championship with Montoya now.
Wow.
He's pissed.
Goodness gracious me.
Sato and Power out. And it's a very animated Will Power, the reigning series champion.
He's got some issue going on there.
He's just saying, get me out, help me out.
He's not happy.
Oh, whoa,
yes,
whoa.
Don't do that.
Don't do that. You're right.
I know you're upset, guy, but these are the guys that will save your life when you need them.
Yeah. You know, you go from racing, Paul, you've done it, you're racing at 210 miles an hour for an hour and a half plus, and then you come down to that bang, there's an awful lot of emotions and adrenaline flowing at that point, but you have to keep your composure.
What a day, what a performance from Takuma Sato today. Led 31 laps and was spectacular. And as you can see, he and Power walking away. They're not only fatigued, they're a little bit dazed. This was a big hit.
Sato got loose, big correction, and just sliding up the track. And then Dixon, they touch, he bounce, pinball, and that's it.
Yeah.
And folks, we reiterate the point. This is in excess of 200 miles per hour.
Yeah. Just got the rear of the car loose, didn't he, old Sato?
Yeah, he's sliding there, comes down the track now. Dixon's coming up. He bounces, and there's no room there.
Hey, I mean, that, to me, that is racing. I mean, that's just eventually, as you said, PT, that's what's going to happen. At these speeds.
That was a hard hit by Sato, too.
Yeah, these speeds.
Much harder than Power's hit, because he turned sideways, and look at that. That was a hard hit. And all credit to Indycar, because that was at about 215 miles an hour going backwards, and the car didn't lift off the ground.
That's Lauren Canaan, Tony's wife, looking on anxiously. And that's Liz Power, Will's wife, who traditionally doesn't watch, particularly towards the end of the races. And she's asking what happened. So it was a fast, it was brutal, and it was a big contact, Jan.
Yes, and Tim Cindric has just seen those replays as well. I know that you have been on the radio all day, and we're going red flag, by the way, while we do talk to Tim about that incident. You've been on the radio with Will all day. I know he wasn't happy about this close racing, but this looked like a pinball situation. He got stuck in the middle.
Yeah, without a doubt. I don't know if you could really say that was anybody's fault there. You know, it's really disappointing because we sat down after Las Vegas with IndyCar, and we all sat there and discussed the fact that we could never have a race like we had there in terms of the pack racing that goes on or used to go on in IndyCar. And why we're here doing it today, I have no idea. You know, fortunately, these guys look like they're okay, and hopefully we can get through the rest of this race. But, you know, it was very obvious to us, the first practice here, this is the way it was going to be. You know, we voiced our concerns. Our drivers voiced our concerns, and you know, we're here doing this like we are today. And I'm sure it's fun to watch, but you know, running open wheel cars like this is very difficult.
Thank you, Tim.
AJ Foyt has been watching his driver Takuma Sato fight back from the back a couple of times. Didn't end well there. We just heard from Tim Cindric, who said he was questioning this style of pack racing. What do you make of it?
Well, you know, we had a great car today. He did a great job driving it, and just wasn't our day.
What do you think of this style of racing? Are you enjoying the entertainment value, or does it seem too dangerous? Cindric was questioning it.
I enjoy this type of racing when I was doing it. It's not that much fun watching, but no, I think it's great racing. You know, at least you can race. And that's what I like about racing. When you can race, you can race. And it just wasn't our day. We had a great car. He come from the back there twice. And it just wasn't our day. And when they're all 3 or 4 breaths like that, and the air disturbs, it kind of moves you around. And kind of Dixon and him got together, and he went up and hit Will Power. But, you know, that's just racing. So it just wasn't our day.
Just wasn't their day. Thank you, AJ.
Thank you.
All right, want to show you something. Great to hear from Super Tex. We are under red, as you may have heard Jan say earlier, under red flag conditions, so we can attempt to finish under green. Now, when that collision occurred, this is how far Graham Rahal was ahead. Watch closely. Briscoe on the low line, Kanaan on the high side. Look how close this is as they cross the line. I mean, there was hardly anything between it. There was this much between them.
Expect that to be the finish at the end.
This day continues to deliver high drama. And Graham Rahal has been in the middle of that. Remember, we heard that there could be a penalty coming his way post-race for that hiccup on pit lane. We'll be back.
One race against red flag.
For those of you just joining us, we are under red flag conditions here at Auto Club Speedway Fontana here in California for round 11 of the Verizon IndyCar Series. It has been a spectacular, drama-filled day. We have seen some pretty spectacular crashes, but we have seen some phenomenal racing and moves. And it's all going to come down to a last scramble for the final 5 laps. So this is the reason we're under red. There was a serious crash on the front straight here between Takuma Sato and Will Power. And there was a great scrap going on at the front between Ryan Briscoe, Graham Rahal and Tony Kanaan. And that was just a few positions ahead. Scott Dixon on the right, Takuma Sato in the middle. It was a ping-pong situation. And watch this hit from Sato. Oof, side impact was huge. he and Will Power crashing at in excess of 200 miles per hour. Both drivers, incidentally, were able to get out and walk away. Time to check in with Kevin Lee. Kev?
Sam Schmidt is the car owner for Ryan Briscoe, running in second. And also James Jakes has had a strong day in the top 10. What do you make of what Ryan has been able to do in a fill-in situation in that 5?
Just fantastic. I mean, obviously a true professional, and still a little frustrated by our drive-through when nobody else gets one all day long. But other than that, it luckily hasn't cost us the end of the day, and hopefully we can have a 3-lap race to the finish here. Definitely got to be exciting for the fans and people on TV, because this is a hell of a race.
Ryan Briscoe is going to have one more shot when we go back to green after the red. Stay tuned. Briscoe will be chasing Graham Rahal. Stay with us from Fontana.
So not far away from seeing the cars roll off pit lane here at Auto Club Speedway for a final 3-lap shootout. The man sitting at the front is Graham Rahal, who made up 18 positions from his starting spot and had some pretty strong thoughts on why he should be at the front when this race was red flagged. It's a little bit scratchy there. It was a little bit scratchy, but to repeat what Graham said is, I need to be out in front. I was definitely ahead of those two.
I don't know if you want to be out in front coming to the flag. I think that's a disadvantage, Steve.
Well, we've seen that all day long, haven't we? That the guys have been able to pick up a tow from the car ahead of them and then dive down again on that inside line. So I agree with you, PT. Starting at the front for this shootout for 5 laps is probably not the place to be. Second, maybe third.
You know, right now, there's every car that's in the top 7 has led at some point in this race. So picking any car out of this top 7 is almost impossible. It's like going to the roulette table and just picking a number. This is going to be insane.
Yep. Here we go. So there's going to be 2 laps. When they see green, it will be a 3-lap sprint to decide who wins. Rahal, you may have noticed that graphic. I mentioned it earlier in the show. It's been forever since he's won. Rahal has only won once, and that was all the way back in 2008, some 125 races ago. Here's Takuma Sato with Kelly. Kel?
Who was in the middle as the cars went 3 wide. What happened?
It was 3 wide. I was hearing 3 wide for my spotter. Coming out to turn 4, Will was leading. I was in the middle and Dixie was inside. And I thought, okay, 2 respectable guys, no problem. And the 2/3 of the car, I was there, but just seems to be Dixie just coming up and then up and then up. And it was just close the door. I couldn't do anything, just a ping pong for 2 cars. And then we tangled.
Disappointing end to a valiant day for Takuma. Thank you.
Well, it's good to see him in reasonable spirits but good health after that huge contact. So here we go. Rub your hands together. Anything's going to happen here, and anyone could win.
Tires.
This is interesting.
Pagenaud, Hunter-Reay. Ryan Hunter-Reay has won a race pulling this strategy before. And then it looks like the rookie Sage Karam as well.
So what they're trying to do here is take on fresh tires, and of course it will be very short order to see if they will actually catch up the pack in time. If they can catch up, the new tires will be great, but will they have enough time if they go green to make this work? This is a big gamble by many people up and down pit road.
This is a huge gamble to change
really
tires
is.
at this point in the race, because those guys that haven't come in, if they can just get their tires up to temperature, Paul, in 1 lap.
Well, I think they'll catch now if they can run flat out and be up to speed. By the time that these guys are going, as they come, they're going to stay on it now and try to time this restart, which could be an advantage if you get a big run.
Gabby Chavez is saying, look, I'm staying out of the way. I'm not on the lead lap. You guys go ahead. You're racing for more than me. You get at it. At the front of this field is 3rd-generation racer Graham Rahal, who will see the green flag first. He's got a hungry pack behind, and the first one in the line is Ryan Briscoe. Here come the guys on those new tyres at the back. Keep an eye on them. I think Sage Karam got the best run.
Yeah, he definitely got a run. He was going when they waved the green. He was already up to speed. But look at Kanaan coming through the middle.
Montoya down low. Kanaan there. Briscoe high. They dive for that inside line.
Okay, he's outside.
Briscoe knows where he needs to be.
Come on, Rahal. Hold that bottom. Don't let him take it away from you. He's going to get a little help. They're 3 wide behind. But look at Sage Karam with the fresh tires and the momentum.
2 laps to go from here. 4 miles will decide this race. Up high is Marco Andretti and Sage Karam. Here they come. Andretti was one of those ones on fresh tires.
Fresh tires, momentum off of the restart. They were up and running and up to speed when they caught the lead group. Andretti coming on the high side, cutting to the bottom.
Watch this, down low, and Rahal closes the door.
That's where you've got to be, Marco. That's where you've got to be. You've got those fresh tyres, but not in the middle of the track. You've got to dive down low. You've seen what Briscoe could have done.
This is it. 1 lap. Oh, there goes Ryan Hunter-Reay and Ryan Briscoe. And Briscoe flies. Briscoe flips and flies. On the grass, the 2 Ryans came together.
That looked horrible.
And that's a very abrupt end to what was a terrific day for Ryan Briscoe. He gives both thumbs up, which is a good sign. That was wild.
I think, yes, Graham Rahal.
It's a mess on the front straight, Graham. Slowly.
What a wild end.
Graham, come on around. You're the leader.
Wow.
Keep your head in the game.
So, caution and checkers.
Big boy.
Caution and checkers at the same time for Graham Rahal, who ends a 125 race drought. It's his 2nd career victory. Wow.
What an extraordinary race for Graham Rahal. Had a very poor qualifying session. To my eyes, he himself didn't seem too disappointed with the speed he achieved yesterday, PT.
No.
And then that awful situation in the pits with that refueling situation.
Briscoe and Hunter-Reay out of their respective cars. And here it is.
2 cars here. They just start bouncing off of each other here. Hunter-Reay was going for a gap. It closed, and he came down into Brian, and the grass just caught the car and just flipped it violently.
Goodness me.
And very shortly thereafter, Ryan Briscoe gives the double thumbs up. Watch this, just a gap that closed again. It's Karam coming down, Hunter-Reay in the middle, And Ryan Briscoe, just the innocent bystander there down on the inside, and that nose just dove in like a dart into the grass.
Absolutely.
And flipped Briscoe. So again, similar to the Power and Sato incident, a lucky escape for both the Ryans, Hunter-Reay and Briscoe.
Oh, that was just intense, very, very violent crash. And it just goes to show you how safe these cars are.
This is Briscoe at the end of that violent flip. And he says, I'm okay.
What a relief to see that.
Mixed emotions. On the other side of it is Graham Rahal. Finally, that victory, that second victory has arrived. All right, let's check in with Jan Beekers. Jan?
And a roller coaster of emotions. Will, you just saw that replay. First of all, you're okay, but you were concerned because that was a very similar situation to what you had.
Yeah, I'm glad Ryan looks like he's okay. He gave a thumbs up, what are we doing? What are we doing? I mean, we went in there and told him it'll be pack racing, and that was a Vegas situation right there. And I'm just so happy that no one was really hurt. And, it's amazing. You get the NASCAR boys, they ask for less downforce. You get half our guys, they ask for more. So, it's just someone's got to take responsibility for how this day has panned out. And, as exciting as it is, it's insane because you can't get away. You cannot get away, and you have to take massive risks to gain track position. But, man, that's crazy racing. It's crazy. Yeah, we just don't need another incident like we had at Vegas, and running like this, it'll happen. It's just a matter of time.
A very emotional Will Power, and as he said, thankfully, everyone's okay, apparently.
What Will Power is alluding to there is the horrendous crash situation that occurred in 2011 that took the life of Dan Weldon, and Power was right in the middle of that accident. We can't take anything away from this man, though. The celebration in victory lane for Graham Rahal and Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing. He started towards the back of this field in 19th and made up 18 positions to drive to victory lane. He's finished runner-up on numerous occasions and said, you know what, it's gonna come, we will get there eventually. And this is the man who qualified poorly yesterday and said, you know what, I'm okay with that speed because we've got a good race car. And look at the relief on Graham Rahal's face, the winner at Auto Club Speedway Fontana.
Extraordinary day.
Kelly's right there.
And you know how eager he is to get out and shake the hands and give hugs to all of his crew members who helped get him here to victory lane. It wasn't a perfect day for them for sure, but he fought through it, fought from the back of the pack, really starting 19th to pick up his second career win, first on an oval. Graham, could you have dreamed it would come here at this track on a day like this?
No, I didn't. Our weakness has been these ovals, and I said to my guys this morning, the next 3 races are going to really define our year. And I knew yesterday the car was pretty good in race trim. It was just in qualifying for some reason we couldn't find any speed. But I can't thank Mike and Dave and my dad and everybody for believing in me, and Steak and Shake for coming on board. I feel like they're the good luck charm. This year's they came on board and this thing turned right around. And DA Lubricants, everybody else. I mean, you don't know how good this feels. It's been so long coming, and it's awesome.
You had a moment there on pit lane. There was an issue with the refueling. At that point, did you think perhaps your day was over?
Well, when we went back to 16th, I was definitely a little worried there because who knows? I knew my car was really good. It wasn't the quickest up front. Frankly, I struggled when I got to the front to be as fast as the Chevys, but I know those last couple laps worked, hung on there on the bottom line, and I'm just proud of these guys because honestly, everybody, all the fans say, oh, well, Graham's just driving different. It's not me. It's these guys right here that make this thing happen, and I couldn't be more honored and thankful to have a group like this.
Congratulations. A phenomenal finish for Graham Rahal. Kevin?
Tony Kanaan comes up second, and you think you might have been in front when that yellow came out.
It's hard to tell. I think I was, but, obviously
when you're like that and that close rate, you never know. So I don't know. Obviously, it was a crazy race, so I'm glad that I'm in one piece. Yeah, start-finish line, yeah, I guess. But I don't know when the yellow came out, but I guess, yeah, at start-finish line, he was ahead.
It goes with the scoring lines throughout
Probably,
the track,
yeah.
so we'd have to.
Congratulations
to
him.
How do you deal with this racing? Will Power and Tim Cindric have been pretty pointed. What do you think?
I mean, it's a new package, so we keep guessing, and we guessed it on the wrong side. I think it was a great race for the fans, but you know, I get criticized a lot when I talk about this kind of things, but people are not in the race car to see, 215 miles an hour doing this. It's I would like you guys to try, the people that criticize us. So it's tough, man. It's stressful, and it makes you think if you still want to keep doing this like that. So hopefully we get together and we come up with a better solution, and we'll move on.
Thank you. Great run.
Tony Kanaan, the runner-up in today's 500-mile event. There's your race winner, Graham. You're watching NBCSN's coverage of IndyCar, brought to you by DA Lubricant Company. Performance engineered lubricants since 1919. Visit dalube.com. Well, quite the eventful afternoon, quite the amazing race. Let's hear from a man who was right in the thick of it. Third place for Marco Andretti. He's with Jan.
And Marco Andretti was many times up at the front today with some aggressive moves from the top. We have heard some of the drivers, Will Power in particular, saying he thought this was crazy. What's your view?
I mean, yeah, it's definitely crazy. You know, pack racing's always like that. You know, you got guys that just don't want to back off, and guys going forward, guys going backwards, inside, outside. I mean, I find it quite fun, but you know, it is extremely dangerous. But you know, that's what we all sign up for. But I think we put on a heck of a show for the fans, that's for sure.
Your car from the beginning of the weekend just suited you. You said you were proud of your team because they stuck with it, but you've been comfortable all weekend.
Yeah, no, I mean, we were pretty good. I mean, we sort of shot ourselves in the foot there at the end. I shouldn't have went low. I should have known Graham was going to do that. I had a full head of steam. If I would have went high, I think we could have won the race, but I'm glad everybody's all right there at the end. That was crazy.
All right, thank you, Marco. Great job.
Thank you.
And just behind Marco Andretti, 4th and 5th goes to Juan Pablo Montoya and the rookie Sage Karam. I'll start with you, Juan. Another top 5 finish on a 500-mile race. Fans were certainly treated to quite a show, but what was it like from the cockpit?
Honestly, I felt it was a little too stupid. You know what I mean? What I told Indycar yesterday is, you know, we shouldn't be racing like this. This is full pack racing, and sooner or later somebody's going to get hurt, so we don't need to be doing this. You know, we had a hell of a show and everything, but you know, we did what we had to do. We had a hell of a car, and when Will crashed, another crashed. For me, you know, I mean, the only goal was finish ahead of Dixon, and we did that. So it's good. You know, everybody in the PPG Chevy and Team Penske did a pretty good job again.
I don't know how aware you were of the issue with Graham Rahal on pit lane and a refueling issue, and they decided no penalty. Do you know anything about it? Do you have an opinion on it?
Don't know, and he drove a hell of a race. He deserves that win, I think.
All right, fair enough. And we'll turn it over to Sage Karam now. Fantastic finish for you. What was it like from the get-go? You were up there mixing around with these veterans.
Yeah, well, it was good to lead my first laps. The Chevrolet Big Machine Comfort Revolution car, Chip Ganassi car, has been quick all day. And, you know, to be mixing it up at the front after a season we've been having felt so good. And that's the confidence I need right there to go to the remaining races. And just so thrilled to get my crew a good result. They've been working their tails off, and, you know, it's finally paid off.
All right, a great building block for Sage Karam. Kevin?
Well, best news of the day is after that frightening crash, Ryan Briscoe and Ryan Hunter-Reay are okay. Ryan has got a brief glimpse at the replay. Ryan Briscoe has not. We'll watch and talk us through it. Ryan, what are you thinking here?
Yeah, I wasn't expecting Montoya to come up. He had a lane on the inside of him like that. I was just sitting next to, I'm not sure who it was, just waiting to get down to turn 1, and Montoya came right up and clipped the front of the car. So it's tough. I mean, you know, it was pack racing. It was crazy out there. See it here. I'm just getting pushed down a little bit, and then boom, up comes Montoya. So I didn't have anywhere to go. I'm just glad Ryan's okay. That was a nasty flip that he took there. Could have gone a lot worse. So 1 lap to go. It figures we couldn't make it towards the finish, but it was going to look like a good finish for the DHL 28 car today. We turned some things around, and we'll look to do that again in Milwaukee. But glad this guy's all right.
You led laps for the first time this season and made great progress. And same for you. You went to the front, to the back, Ryan Briscoe, and got back to the front. As you watch this, how do you deal with that? Take us in the mind of a race car driver and how you see something like that and understand this is part of the job.
Well, first thing was to call my wife and tell her that I'm okay. I think she's more distraught than any of us here. But no, I mean, I'm just thankful that, you know, I'm okay. You know, no one, you know, made that happen intentionally or anything. I think the racing was so close all day. Unfortunately, something bad did happen, but we're all okay, and it's a testament to the safety of the cars. But I wish it didn't. You know, starting second on that restart, you know, really hoping to have a chance to win for this Aero Electronics car. It's not the way we want it to go out. Really proud of the guys. You know, all weekend we've been strong, and would have been really nice to bring a strong result home. But you know, at the same time, you know, just want to keep wishing Hench a quick recovery. And I know he's watching and doesn't like to see this happen, but we got a good car, we got a great team, and I think we're going to have a real shot at winning races this year.
Great run. We'll see you in Milwaukee.
Thank you.
Yeah, very pleasing to see both Ryans, Hunter-Reay and Briscoe, okay. We now take you to the championship.